I was never the kind of girl who dreamed about weddings or fairy tale endings. I liked things simple, real, grounded. So when Ethan and I started dating, it felt solid. No grand gestures, no dramatic declarations. Just small things that built trust over time. He remembered my coffee order. He listened when I talked about my dysfunctional family. He rubbed my back when I had cramps and didn't make it weird. We met in college. He was a year ahead of me, charming in a quiet, dependable kind of way. Not flashy. Not intense. Just safe. After graduation, we moved into a small apartment together, and it felt like the next natural step. We were that couple everyone called stable. Not passionate, but steady. And honestly, I liked it that way. Passion fades, right? But loyalty stays. Or so I thought. By our third year together, I started feeling like something was off. Ethan was still kind, still helpful, still there, but there was a distance. Little things. He'd zone out during our conversations. He didn't notice when I cut my hair. He started working late. I chalked it up to stress. He'd just gotten a promotion at work, and I didn't want to be that girlfriend who couldn't handle her man's success. I supported him. Encouraged him. Told myself it would pass. Then came the proposal. It wasn't flashy, just us in our living room, pizza on the table, and Ethan pulling out a ring box with this shy smile. "I want to marry you," he said. My heart fluttered. I said yes. I cried. I kissed him 100 times. And for a moment, I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. But something didn't sit right. He didn't seem excited. He didn't even tell his parents right away. I had to push him to announce it on social media, and when he did, it was a quiet post with no caption. Still, I ignored the feeling. I was engaged. I was happy. This was supposed to be the start of our forever. Then, 5 days later, I got a message. From a girl I didn't know. Her name was Clara, and she wrote, "Hey, I know this is weird, but, are you engaged to Ethan?" My stomach dropped. I replied yes, cautiously. She responded within minutes, "He proposed to me too. On Sunday." My vision blurred. I read her message over and over, hoping I'd misunderstood. I asked for proof. She sent a picture, him, down on one knee, a different ring, her shocked face, a blurry background that looked like a park. The date in the corner read Sunday, 2 days after he proposed to me. I wanted to throw up. This wasn't real. This had to be a prank. I confronted Ethan that night, shaking, barely able to breathe. I showed him the photo. His face went pale. And he said the words I'll never forget, "It's not what you think." I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to Ethan, who had moved to the couch after our fight, staring at the ceiling, heart racing like I'd run a marathon. "It's not what you think, what does that even mean?" He didn't deny it. He didn't claim the photo was fake. He just stood there, silent, looking guilty. I replayed our relationship like a movie in my mind, scanning every moment for red flags I had missed. And they were there, subtle, quiet, but there. The nights he worked late, the weekends he spent visiting his parents, the way he flinched when I mentioned long-term plans. The next morning, I asked him to explain. He rubbed his eyes like I had woken him from a dream and whispered, "It was a mistake." I stared at him, cold. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. This is a double proposal, Ethan. He admitted he had been seeing Clara on and off for a few months. It wasn't supposed to get serious, he said. But then I panicked. I didn't know what I wanted. That hit harder than the cheating. He didn't know if he wanted me. After everything we'd built, I was just one of his options? I packed a bag and left. I couldn't look at him. I went to my best friend Mia's apartment, still shaking. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just held me while I cried. And when I stopped crying, I started planning. I wasn't going to crawl into a hole. I wasn't going to wait for him to choose. I deserved better. But still, I had to know more. I reached out to Clara again. We met at a coffee shop. She was pretty, soft-spoken, and just as heartbroken. We compared timelines. He had taken her to dinners the same nights I thought he was working late. He told her he was single. He told her I was just his roommate. The lies were endless. We laughed at one point, laughed through the hurt. He proposed to both of us in the same week, I said, sipping bitter coffee. That's almost impressive in a psychotic kind of way. Clara said something I didn't expect. He's not worth it. But we are. That stuck with me. We were worth more than this drama. More than a man who couldn't even pick a lie and stick to it. I told Clara I was done with him. She said she was too. We left the cafe as allies, not enemies. Back at Mia's, I finally let myself feel the anger. All those years. All that trust. And for what? A guy who wanted safety with me and excitement with her? A guy who thought he could juggle two lives until one felt right. I wasn't going to beg for closure. I was going to take my power back. I called Ethan and told him I wanted the ring out of my life. He asked if we could talk. I said no. I wasn't interested in hearing more half-truths. I boxed up his things, dropped them at his office, and walked away. Literally and emotionally, I blocked him on everything. I needed space to rebuild. I needed to remember who I was before him, and more importantly, who I wanted to be after him. It wasn't easy. The pain came in waves. One moment I felt strong and defiant. The next, I felt hollow. But I had Mia. I had Clara, surprisingly. And I had myself. That was enough for now. The weeks that followed were a strange mix of grief and clarity. I wasn't just mourning the relationship, I was mourning the version of myself who believed in it. The girl who thought stability meant safety. Who thought being the low-maintenance girlfriend would somehow guarantee loyalty. That version of me was gone. And in her place stood someone angrier, louder, sharper. I wasn't proud of the rage I felt, but I let myself feel it anyway. I deserved to be mad. I had spent years pouring into someone who never saw me as a priority. Clara and I kept in touch. Not often, not deeply, but enough. We checked in on each other like war buddies, united by betrayal, bonded by chaos. One day, she sent me a screenshot. Ethan had updated his relationship status. Not single. Not in a relationship. Just blank. Like nothing had ever happened. Like we didn't exist. I laughed so hard I cried. I shouldn't have cared. But I did. How dare he act like we were the mistake? Mia suggested a girls' trip, and I agreed instantly. We booked a weekend getaway to the coast, just the two of us. It wasn't luxurious, but it was freedom. We drank wine in our pajamas. We screamed Adele songs in the car. We took photos on the beach and deleted the ones where we looked too posed. One night, I told Mia everything. Every fear, every moment I doubted myself, every lie I ignored. She looked at me and said, "You're allowed to grieve, but don't let this be your story. Let it be your plot twist." That stuck with me. I didn't want to be the girl who got cheated on. I wanted to be the girl who rose after. So I started therapy. I started journaling. I went back to the gym, not to lose weight or get revenge, but to move, to remind myself I was alive. I got a new haircut. I bought a ridiculous dress just because I liked how it made me feel. I even signed up for a pottery class, something I had always wanted to do but never made time for. Ethan texted me once, about a month after everything blew up. It was short, "I miss you. I made a mistake." I stared at the message for a full 5 minutes, then deleted it. No reply. No second chances. If he missed me, he could miss me in silence. I wasn't his backup plan. I wasn't the girl who waited around while he figured out his feelings. Clara texted me the same day, as if she knew. He messaged me too. I blocked him. I smiled. Good for her. Good for us. We weren't rivals. We were survivors. And slowly, I began to feel like myself again. Not the version I was with Ethan, constantly shrinking to fit the mold of the perfect girlfriend, but the real me. The girl who dreamed loudly, laughed messily, and cried without shame. There was no magical moment where everything clicked. Healing was slow. Some nights I still replayed the proposal in my head, the fake one that felt so real. Some mornings I woke up and reached for him out of habit. But each day, the pain dulled. The clarity sharpened. I wasn't broken. I was bruised. And bruises fade. Then, one afternoon while scrolling on social media, I saw something that made my stomach flip. Ethan, tagged in a photo at a wedding, with another girl. Not Clara. Not me. Someone new. His arm around her waist. The caption? Love always wins. I almost threw my phone. But instead of spiraling, I laughed. Love always wins? What a joke. Ethan didn't understand love. He understood comfort. Ego. The thrill of being wanted by more than one person, but me? I was starting to understand love in a deeper way. The love that comes after heartbreak. The love that starts with yourself. A few months passed, and the dust began to settle. The people around me slowly stopped tiptoeing, stopped asking, "Are you okay?" with those pitiful eyes. I think they sensed it. I wasn't shattered anymore. I was rebuilding. Quietly. Deliberately. Piece by piece, I was becoming someone I actually liked. Not just someone easy to love. Someone who loved herself first. It wasn't perfect. Some days were still messy. But even my worst days were better than pretending to be fine in a fake relationship. One Saturday, Mia and I went out for brunch, and she asked me if I was ready to start dating again. My knee-jerk reaction was no. Hard no. But that night, I found myself downloading a dating app, just to look. No pressure. Just curiosity. The first few swipes were a disaster. Gym bros, mirror selfies, bios that said things like "looking for my queen" or "don't be crazy." I deleted it, re-downloaded it, then laughed at myself. Healing wasn't linear, right? But then, I matched with someone named Jamie. His profile was normal, refreshingly normal. A picture of him hiking, one with a dog, one baking cookies with his niece. His bio said, "Good at dad jokes. Bad at small talk. Tell me your weirdest obsession." So I messaged him. Okay, I alphabetize my spices and name my houseplants. Your move. He replied, "I write Yelp reviews for places I haven't been to just for fun." I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that felt like a clean start. We chatted for a few weeks. Nothing serious. Just light, funny, easy. And slowly, it became something more. He didn't love bomb me. He didn't rush anything. He asked questions. He listened. He didn't flinch when I mentioned my ex. He didn't make me feel like baggage. And when I finally told him the whole Ethan story, he just nodded and said, "That guy's an idiot." But you're not. You're brave. I didn't know what to say to that. Brave? I hadn't thought of myself that way. But maybe he was right. I could have stayed with Ethan. I could have believed his lies, played the part, married someone who saw me as one option of many. But I didn't. I chose myself. Even when it hurt. Even when it left me alone. That takes guts, right? One night, Jamie and I were walking through a night market, and he stopped at a little vendor selling handmade rings. He picked one up, a delicate gold band with a tiny opal. "This reminds me of you," he said. Soft, but strong. I felt my throat tighten. Not because I thought he was proposing or making a move. But because it was the first time someone saw me, not just for what I gave, but for who I was. I bought the ring myself. Not because I needed a symbol. But because I wanted a reminder. That I made it through. That I chose better. That I wouldn't settle again. Around that same time, Ethan texted me again. This time, it was longer. A full apology. He admitted he was selfish, scared, addicted to being wanted. He said I didn't deserve any of it, and that he hoped I'd find someone who saw me fully. I didn't reply. I didn't even feel angry. Just indifferent. He was a chapter I'd finished. I didn't owe him the reread. Clara texted me that week, too. She'd met someone. A woman, actually. Sweet, grounded, funny. I smiled reading her message. She sounded happy. Free. We both were. We had been pawns in someone else's game, and we both walked off the board. And now? Life isn't perfect. But it's mine. My choices. My pace. My love. A year later, I stood in front of a full-length mirror, smoothing out the fabric of my dress. Not a wedding dress, nothing white, lacy, or symbolic. Just a soft blue wrap dress I picked because I liked how I felt in it. Confident. Comfortable. Whole. Mia was buzzing around the apartment, doing last-minute curls in her hair and hyping me up like I was heading to the Met Gala. It was just a dinner. But it felt like more. My first anniversary with Jamie, the restaurant was quiet, tucked away on a quiet side street, lit with strings of warm lights and the smell of fresh bread. Jamie was already there, waiting, a nervous but excited smile on his face. When he stood up to greet me, I felt something in my chest loosen. Not butterflies. Not nerves. Just peace. I used to think love had to be dramatic to be real. That the chaos, the chasing, the pain meant passion. But Jamie was soft. Present. Unshaken. The kind of person who held my hand when I was spiraling and didn't need to fix me, just stayed. We toasted with sparkling cider, shared too much dessert, and talked about everything and nothing. And at the end of the night, when he walked me home and kissed me goodnight, there was no pressure. No timeline. No ring hidden in his coat pocket. Just us. And for the first time, I didn't wonder where things were going. I didn't need a label or a deadline or a box checked. I was happy. Now. That was enough. A few months after that, I ran into Ethan by accident. At the grocery store, of all places. He looked smaller, somehow. Like he'd shrunk into himself. He smiled when he saw me, unsure, but genuine. Hey, he said, his voice soft. You look great. And you know what? I believed it. Not because of how I looked, but because I felt it. I said hi back, wished him well, and walked away with no weight on my chest. No what-ifs. No curiosity. Just freedom. I still have the ring he gave me, by the way. Tucked in a little box at the back of my closet. Not because I want to keep it, but because it reminds me how far I've come. That once, I was the girl someone tried to keep half-loved. And now, I'm the girl who walked away. Clara and I keep in touch, too. Not super close, but here and there. She sent me a picture recently, her and her girlfriend on a weekend trip, laughing in a hammock somewhere green and sunny. I smiled so wide I almost dropped my phone. We survived. We thrived. We weren't just the girls he lied to. We were women who rebuilt from the ruins. Better. Stronger. I know not every story ends with a villain getting punished or some perfect new romance swooping in to save the day. Sometimes, the win is quieter. Sometimes, the glow-up is peace. Silence where there used to be anxiety. Smiles that don't feel forced. A life that fits. So no, I'm not planning a wedding. Not rushing to update my relationship status. I'm just living. Loving. Healing. And if I ever do get proposed to again, by someone who sees all of me, I'll say yes with my whole chest. But this time I'll make damn sure I'm the only one.